So let's talk about how Nissan killed the Z car. And unfortunately, I believe they might have killed it. If we go back and look at some of the older models, like a 350, the 350 was sporty, it was classy, it was juicy, it had a huge aftermarket community, and it was the car in the market segment at that time. And then it peaked at around 2006 when Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift came out, and two of the main characters had one. And then that's when everybody wanted one. I mean, it was the car to have in the tuner, probably sub 30-35 space. It was the car to have. See, you got this gold one right here. I mean, this is back when Fast and the Furious was about the cars and not about these grandiose superheroes. And then you had the Drift King car, who he was the main villain in the movie. So I mean, it peaked. Where I think it went wrong was the 370. And although the 370 was a big jump in power and it was a little bit sharper on the lines, so it looked it good. But I think they ran that look too long. They ran that look from around 2002 to like 2023 when they came out with the new one. And they just ran it so long that it got stale and it started to get overlooked by other cars in the segment, and they kind of lost that market segment. And then they're having a hard time recouping it because they're not even producing enough cars to even satisfy the consumer base. So now we can talk about the new Nissan, the Nissan Z Proto. And it's a good looking car with very good lines, but production numbers are terribly low. I mean, terribly low. They got caught up in the shortage early. So the chip shortage, they got caught up in the chip shortage. But now they're just producing so low of numbers that it's like it has an artificial scarcity to it. So the few that you do see are marked out the wazoo. Like, I mean, they're $20,000-$30,000 over sticker. And it's just like, when you start talking about a sports car in the 70 and below space, you know, the options are just egregious now. And we'll get into some of those options in a second, but I mean, the options are just long and extensive. And they came out with the Nismo this year, and the Nismo is nasty. I mean, the Nismo is crazy. I mean, it has the same, V6 twin turbocharged engine, but it has another 20 horsepower. So it's nasty, but I mean, it literally $75,000, and that's before dealer markups. So it's just like, I don't know who in that market segment would be buying that with some of the other options that they have. And let's get into some of those options since we're talking about it. So here we have a 718 Cayman. I mean, that's a Porsche. You know what I'm saying? So when we're talking about driving experience, that's a Porsche. You know what I'm saying? And aesthetically, I it's very appeasing to the eye. Let's get into the next one. A BMW M2. You know what I'm saying? You know they have a cult-like following. And the new lines, they got a new body, a new refresh, and it's very nice. So, I mean, I don't know if I'm going to go with that new Z car over this BMW M2 or that 718 Porsche Cayman. And I'm definitely not going with it over this new C8 Corvette with the mid-engine. I mean, let's be real. Let's not fool ourselves. Let's be honest. This thing has supercar looks, a mid-engine, and will turn heads from far, far away. A cult-like following. I'm sorry, but as much as I love the tuner car space, I respect the whole space in the car industry as a whole. And if we being for real, this is probably the best bang for your buck at about 70 grand that's available in the sports car segment right now. There's really nothing beating this right now, sub 70 grand. So let's be honest with that. Let's be for real. And let's not even start talking about used. Used gets even crazier. But we talking about new right now. So, and then here we are right here, the Supra with the B58 and the level of customization that it has right now. If you're looking for a car in that tuner space, it's the one to have. It's the go-to. That B58, downpipe tuning, you well over 400. So it's just, I don't know. In that segment, I'm not sure I'm sold yet on that price or just, even from an aesthetic standpoint. So here we are, right here. We have the base one. It's the base new Nissan Z Proto. And like I said, it's a improvement from the 370 because the 370 had got so stale, so old, and needed a refresh. But I mean, do we really think this looks better than the C8? Do we really think this looks better than the Supra? Do we really think this looks better than the M2 or the Porsche Cayman? I don't think so. Now this one does have some cool seats. This one has some blue seats, but man, I need a lot more than blue seats to sell me on a Nissan. Now I'm not taking nothing away from Nissan. Nissan got a GTR and all that. Nissan make good cars, but I'm not sold yet at that price. I'm not sold at that price. I mean, they just very recently came out with a stick version of the car, which is a direct response to Super coming out with a stick version of their car. And I think that that's a good move. But I mean, I'm just not sure at those production numbers that they're producing and with the consumer demand. I mean, nobody talks about them. I mean, you don't hear anybody in the space even mention them. You can't get your eyes on them. You can order one, but how can you order something that you've never seen before live time? I just think that if these things aren't fixed, the Z car could be gone down the line, if we're being for real.